Hey now, everybody. Welcome back. Brand new Take Aim podcast. And this week I am joined with the VP of Elite Archery, Costa, and pro shooter from Elite Darrin Christenberry. And we basically covered the brand new lineup 2020, the brand new bows. And let me tell you, man, Elite has got some sweet things coming out this year. Totally along with what Elite has always been into and done for the shooter, about shootability, and now you can add total tunability. But I'll let Christian and Darrin tell you the rest of the great stuff on the brand new bows, the Rezult, and the Kure. Awesome bows. I can't wait to shoot one, and hope you guys enjoy this week's show. All right, guys, we are live, brand new Take Aim Outdoors, and excited to have the guys from Elite Archery on today. We're talking with Darrin Christenberry and Costa, and I'll let you guys kind of explain what you guys do with Elite or for Elite. I know what you guys do, but we'll let you guys talk about that and share that to the listeners. But excited nonetheless to have you guys here, so thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. Our pleasure, man. Darrin, you want to go ahead and do a brief intro?
Yeah. I'm Darrin Christenberry, as Brandon said, and I actually started with Elite going on 7 years ago. I signed on to be a professional shooter. I've been a competitive professional archer for a lot of years, and archery's been my life. And Elite approached me. We worked out a deal, and then just a few weeks after I signed a contract to shoot, they reached out and said, hey, we'd like you to become a sales rep for us. And I was like, yeah, right. I don't know the first thing about sales, but I could talk art. So, again, we worked out a deal, and I became a territory sales manager in Indiana and Illinois for 3.5 years. Since then, have changed roles. I now manage the pro staffs and all the promotional shooters for the outdoor group, work closely with Christian and his team on marketing and product development. I get to see everything come to life, and that's what I do now. I'm still continuing to shoot, but I also am in the day-to-day stuff. I do a lot of warranty and technical emails and phone calls. I'm kind of a jack of all trades, master of none. I'm mediocre at everything right now, I guess.
That's a big compliment to me, though, Darrin. I'm the same way. So, Christian, I know what you do, but go ahead and introduce yourself and give us a rundown on what you do for Elite.
Sure, yeah. I completely disagree with Darrin's last statement about being mediocre at everything. He is an absolutely integral part of the overall team that we've got here at Elite, and without him and guys like Nathan Brooks and Chance Bobeff and some of the other folks that are really heavily involved, Tommy Gomez, we would not be able to do what it is that we do on a daily basis and deliver fantastic products to the marketplace, pretty rapidly. So I think Darrin's being very, very modest. In terms of myself, I'm Christian Costa. I am the Vice President of Marketing for the Outdoor Group, our big flagship brand there, Elite Archery, although we have several other brands in the archery and hunting space, including Scott, CBE, Slick Trick, Broadheads, and a variety of other brands. As the VP Marketing, I kind of help to oversee everything that's going on from a marketing perspective. Darrin manages the pro shooters, but Darrin and I work very closely together to get the pro shooters to provide content, get involved in certain things. We schedule podcasts and interviews and all kinds of things for the pro staff there. I also work very closely with Larry McCoy, who handles all of our television partnerships and really has become the face of Respect the Game, our own television show, working with our social media manager, our graphic designers, product development team, our web designers and developers, overseeing customer service. So we've got a lot of irons in the fire, doing a bunch of different things, and trying to keep the wheels on everything.
Absolutely. Yeah, I know you guys are busy, and get back to Darrin for a minute. I remember, 7 years ago, Darrin, when you had signed on with Elite, I thought it was wonderful because I was a fan of Elite back then and all the stuff they were doing, and just a different concept with their bows, and nonetheless excited that, you're still a big part of Elite today and doing such great things.
Yeah, appreciate that. Yeah, it was intimidating at first, because I shot for a different manufacturer for 11 years. A lot of people know that. Some people may not. People that have just come into the industry in the past few years may not even know who I am. That's fine. But it's intimidating going from, some of the more well-known manufacturers to an up-and-coming company like Elite and the Outdoor Group. And it's been really cool to ride this ride and see, because my first thought was, man, Elite, who shoots an Elite, but then to watch it build up and the excitement ramp up. And then, we've had some years where we've scratched our head a couple of times, but now we're coming to market again and we're pounding our chest, and we really feel good about what's happening for 2020 and the future right now. So it's exciting.
Yeah, absolutely. This year I think it's, super exciting to have you on. Kind of, I don't want to say it's gone full circle in kind of your 7 years there, but I feel like this was the buzz I'm getting right now around social media and the 2020 lineup is kind of what I felt like, 6, 7, 8 years ago with Elite. So it's super exciting that that's happening again, because I've always, thought the world of Elite and the shootability of the bows. But let's get kind of into it. I mean, 2 brand new bows for this year for 2020. And Darrin, since you're the pro shooter guy, let's start with the kind of the comp bow, if you call it.
Yeah. Our competition bow or target bow is, would be the most common tagline, is the new Rezult. It's almost 38 inches axle to axle. It's 37 3/4, but it's just easier for me to say 38, so that's what I'm calling it. It's got a 7 1/4 inch brace height. The bow's available in 40, 50, 55, 60, and 70-pound peak weight. It's got a new tri-track, a 3-track cam system, which we're calling the ASIM tri-track cam system. It's adjustable on a rotating mod from 24 to 31 inches in 1/4 inch increments, which is huge for not only us to bring to market, but for dealers and in-using consumers to be able to have that much, to be able to finally adjust and finally tune that bow. It's huge for us. Comes set up as cable stops, but we've integrated the limb stop in this bow as well. So you're going to get that typical Elite feel. You're going to get that typical Elite hard wall if you want it, but you're getting something that's not been so typical, is just this massive amount of adjustability and tunability. The new cam system's great, but we've also got a new Vibex limb dampener, which goes in our split limb that's branded really nice for us. We've got set technology, which is simplified exact tuning. It's a 2-piece stable lock limb pocket, and the rear end of the pocket is what contains the set technology, and it allows that pocket to pivot from like 2 o'clock to 10 o'clock. And if you can read a paper tear, if you're a paper tuning guy, set technology allows you to quickly and efficiently, without a bow press, to tune this bow, to macro tune this bow, and it's been super effective. When we see something new, or I see something new and I see moving parts, initially it scares me. And when I took this bow out of the box for the first time, I was a little bit intimidated by it because I like simple. But man, after using it and testing it and tuning it, I'm smiling right now as I'm saying this. I can't believe how awesome and how adjustable and how effective these new technologies are on our bow. And again, it's not great for me just as a tournament archer. It's great for our dealers and our customers, because we've just made everything so simple for people to use without a bow press. You can change your draw length without a bow press. You can change your holding weight without a bow press. You can change your tune without a bow press. Leaps and bounds forward is where I feel like Elite is for 2020.
Yeah, if I'm nowhere near the level of tech specialist that you are, Darrin, by any means. I just, I get a hunting rig, I get it set up, and we're good to go type of guy. I'm a little more techy than that, but not much. But I really am, beyond blown away with the availability to adjust the limbs. And it's the first time ever on a bow that you guys can micro-adjust those limbs. So can we talk about the pros for having it and the cons versus the regular or old-style type of limb?
Yeah, for sure. With, Elite, and you see it on social media now, Elite has been a 2-track solid limb bow company from its inception. And it's been fantastic. Shootability, they coined that term, and that's 100% correct. It's a shooter-friendly platform that's very effective, very simple, very accurate, and that's where Elite built their name. Then we went to split limb bows, and people were like, oh, gosh, you know, and then we had bows that maybe they weren't the typical feel that people were looking for, and people were like, oh, gosh, you know. So it really has changed, but yet we're coming back to the normal Elite with a totally new look and split limbs. But what happened on some of the 2-tracks and with the split limbs, and I think the split limbs kind of magnified some issues for certain draw length on certain people depending on how they hold or anchor a bow, you could get some tuning issues, you know, knock right, knock left tear that were a pain in the butt. You know, you would have to go to the press, you know, press the bow, pop the axles out, pull your cam, strings, cables out, change your cam spacing on the axle, shifting it to the right or to the left, depending on what kind of arrow tear you're getting, to tune these bows. It's effective, 100%. You could make it work, and we did, you know, but it was such an inconvenience at the time. For a dealer, takes up a lot of his time. For a shooter, the last thing you want to do is take your brand new $1,000 bow, put it in the press, take it completely apart to make it work. And that wasn't always the case, but we ran across that more than what we liked. So with the help of Nathan Brooks and his wife Jennifer's an accomplished shooter, and she's just like, Nathan, I just can't get this to do what I want to do. And Nathan went through those headaches of, you know, moving the arrow rest, moving the cable slide, doing all the typical things that you would do to tune a 2-track system, even shimming the cams as far as he could left and right, and he still wasn't able to get that bow to react like he wanted to. So he started filing down the limb rockers. The rocker's just a little pivoting piece that sits underneath the limb, between the limb and the pocket, and without that in there, your limb would snap right in half. But he would take that rocker out and file it down to allow that limb to cock or to sit, you know, a little bit crooked in the pocket, which, end of story there, it would manipulate the limb tips, which in return was adjusting the tilt of that cam, you know, statically and through the draw cycle and full draw. And voila, he was getting results. Man, I can get this thing to tune now. So he worked with Josh Sidebottom. Josh is our COO and was at one time our lead engineer, and they came up with this set technology, implemented it into our target bow, prototyped it. We started testing it, and everyone was just blown away how effective it was and how simple it was. So going from the headaches you had before, or you could run into before, this has just reduced that. Your time in your bow press, your time tuning, your time figuring problems out has been reduced by dramatic amounts. This is just so simple. And we're not saying, okay, great, here's the new Elite, you don't even need to go see your dealer. That's not the message we're trying to send. Our dealers are going to be experts now. If they were intimidated by putting a bow in a press and changing draw length mods and shimming cams and spending that extra time, we don't have to do that. I think now we're taking mediocre bow technicians and turning them into geniuses. That way, when they hand that bow over to the consumer, here's your brand new $1,200, $1,400, $1,600 rig, whatever it is. You can walk out of that store with confidence, and they can show you on the spot how easy and effective this new system is.
Yeah, I believe it. This is a true story. My number one hunting buddy and best buddy, he got a brand new bow this year, different manufacturer, but top of the line 2019 bow. Went through everything you just said, Darrin, and could not figure out what in the world was going on. And it was a case of having to, what you call, like, basically shim that cam. And on a hunting rig, we had, neither me or him have ever done that in 30-plus years of archery for a hunting rig. And for the life of us, we couldn't figure out what was going on. But needless to say, it was the same thing, which makes you feel a little insecure about what you just purchased and all the time. You know, it was 4 hours to a couple archery shops, that, you know, 2 different ones to be exact, to figure out what was going on, and then throw it in a bow press and have somebody deconstruct it, rebuild it, and then you have to go like, man, did they build it back right? I've never even heard of this before. So that was one of the reasons I wanted to bring that up about the limbs, because I knew that's kind of what that alluded to. So, but I think that's literally is amazing and truly is a game changer. And that is also available on the other bow on the hunting side as well, isn't that, Darrin?
That's right. And I think what will make people relate to this more when we're talking about shimming and tuning and what does it mean, and, oh, well, they showed me it was paper tuned. That's right. You know, fletching is on the arrow to stabilize that arrow. And a lot of times it's correcting really, really quick depending on the spine of the arrow. There's a lot of variables there. But you can shoot an arrow through paper, and people do it all the time. And I know I've been in this situation too. Well, my bow's tuned, but I'm shooting my field points at 20 yards, and then I screw on a fixed blade broadhead, and it dives 8 inches low right. Why is that? Well, if you went back and took your fletchings off that arrow and shot that bare shaft, it's probably going to go through paper with the knock way high and to the left, because that's how it's leaving the bow. And then as the shaft corrects itself, it has to dive back down and it hits low right. So that's truly how your bow is tuning. The fletching is making all the difference in the world. But for these guys that have shot fixed blade broadheads for years that are like, I'm done with that, I'll get me some expandables. And that's an easy Band-Aid fix. But if you truly want to get super technical and know with 100% confidence that your bow is shooting to its absolute peak performance, this technology allows the end user to actually fix that problem. You don't have to be scared of fixed blade broadheads anymore, because this set technology with a couple of Allen wrench, with your 5/32 Allen wrench, you can work on that right outside and never go to bow press. So that's what a truly tuned bow will do, is shoot your field point and your broadhead side by side. And I think that's something that the end user can play with, but the dealer now can be way more confident when he sends that guy out the door that he's not going to have those headaches that you just talked about.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, it's always nice, too, for, and again, excuse me for relating everything to the hunting side, but, just to be able to be like, man, I don't have to make that 30-minute drive now to the pro shop to just throw a bow in the press. I can actually do a little work on it myself and kind of, so to speak, get the job done and have confidence in being able to do that. It's really unique.
Yeah. No, and we want you to refer to the hunting side, because that's 95% of our business are bow hunters. I'm a target archer. That's been my life. But, man, I've bow hunted for, as long as I've been a target archer. I was bow hunting before target archery even came into my life. So bow hunting is huge to me. I bring maybe a more technical game to the table when I'm talking about the target bow. But, man, I want my hunting bow to shoot just as good as my target bow. I don't want to go out and go, well, I got it close. Getting close on shooting a 200-inch deer is not what I want. I want to make sure I can nail that thing right where I'm aiming, and having that confidence from the dealer to the consumer to the end consumer, being able to work on some things at home without making that 30-minute drive. This is a good recipe for success for Elite this year.
Yeah, absolutely. No, I love that. I love the features, and I think, like I said, again, it's as important, because like what you just alluded to, the 200-inch deer hunting, or just being out of state deer camp, and something happens and you can go, you know what, I now can fix that. I think it's really cool.
Yeah, for sure.
Without freaking out somewhere in the middle of Nebraska somewhere, I know I would normally,
No doubt.
But that is the truth, and it's nice to be able to do that. And like I said, yeah, for sure. So it gives you a lot of confidence, for sure. But
right.
I probably cut you off somewhere there, Darrin. But what else on the Rezult do we have to look forward to as far as the specs on that bow on the comp side?
IBO speed rating of 325 foot a second. Again, the big thing about that is the draw length adjustability from 24 to 31 inch. We've got a great color selection. I think there's 10 colors. I said on a live video the other day, and even on a podcast, that we have 8, but I actually missed a couple of colors. We've got 3 brand new colors this year. A Laguna teal, a silver alloy, and a sour apple green, which are all fantastic new colors. And if you're familiar with Elite, 3 colors that we deleted from the lineup are emerald green, surge red, and the sunset pink. Everything else is still available in the Target line. So new colors, new draw lengths, new technology, new adjustability. Again, I'm excited. I get excited about it when I talk about it, because I believe in what we've got. I've got the utmost confidence in these bows this year.
Yeah, they're beautiful. I mean, aesthetically looking, they're very eye-appealing. The grips look amazing. I mean, everything on them looks fantastic, and I'm looking at those colors right now, Darrin. I love that copper flame, and that Laguna teal is pretty interesting, too.
Yeah, yeah. I've never been a teal guy, but this new Laguna teal, it's probably going to be my next color that I order.
Yeah, it's not bad. I like it quite a bit, to be honest. It's different, and it's not the typical teal, so to speak.
Yeah. Well, the problem I run into is I have to have shoes to match. So I got to find some teal tennis shoes to wear with my target bow now. So that's the biggest issue I run into.
Yeah, you're gonna have to put some work in for that thing.
No.
On those shoes. That's cool though. Well, a little bit. Let's talk about the Kure on the hunting side. I know it's obviously they're always totally different than the competitive bows, but let's talk a little bit about that. I know some of the features on like I'm super stoked about this bow, and I think Christian, I wrote you about setting this podcast up. I'm like absolutely cannot wait to get my hands on one and start shooting that thing. It's super nice, super excited to see it, and it's I don't know, it's just a great looking bow. Excited about you guys are even have the new Realtree escape pattern on it, and everything about it I like. But let's go through some of the specs on that, Christian.
Yeah, you bet, man. No, you're going to love it when you get your hands on it. In terms of specs, axle to axle, 31 and 13/16. We're calling that 32. You've got the same cam system and rotating mod system that's on the Rezult is also featured on the Kure. One of the things that we'll talk about a little bit later on is kind of our progression to how we got to this point. But I think you'll find that story interesting. So a lot of crossover this year. So not a ton of differences in terms of technology. Probably the biggest piece of differing technology is on the Rezult. We've got a S2S cable guide system, and on the Kure we're still using our linear tunable roller guard. So just a little difference there, but set technology featured on the hunting bow, ASIM tri-track cams featured on the hunting bow, the Versa mod rotating mod system, our new Vibex blocks, our limb dampening systems, the stable lock pockets, all cross over to the hunting bow. So as I mentioned, 32 inches axle to axle. You've got that adjustable and draw lengths from 23 inches all the way up to 30 inches. IBO speed on that going to be right around 335. In terms of peak weights, you can get it available in 40, 50, 60, 65, and 70 pounds. And you've got that amazing Elite draw cycle, solid back wall. You've got the opportunity to use cable stops or limb stops or both, which is a new configuration for me, but I'm really liking it quite a bit. An adjustable let-off from 70% all the way to 90%.
Yeah, that's a great feature, and that is exactly what you kind of mentioned a few minutes ago, Christian, is I did want to talk about the evolution of the Elite's been known for basically, I'll call it a dual track cam, or maybe if that's wrong, Darrin, you can correct me, but to what it is now, which you guys are calling the tri-track. So I kind of just want to go over what the difference is and maybe the history of how it got from A to B.
Darrin, I'm going to let you talk a little bit about that. You've got a lot more experience with both the two-track cam system and now, of course, our new ASIM tri-track cams.
Yeah. The two-track, which is what we've had in the past, is exactly what it is. There's a track on the cam for the string, and there's a track on the right side of the cam for both cables. And this system is what we call slave together. If you pull an inch high of center or an inch low of center on the bowstring, those cams are taking up the exact same amount of cable to rotate those cams over. So it's just one track for the string, one track for the cables. But what you get on that, you have to have a cable guard or a roller guard to move those cables out of the way so an arrow will pass it. You have to have fletching clearance. So what you get on that, we go back earlier, we talked about the cam lean, the tuning problems, the having to shim the cams. What happens when you start putting load or increasing the load on those cables? It does exactly what we're talking about. It's adjusting the attitude of those cams. So when you're pulling on only one side of the cams with both cables, it's transferring an immense amount of pressure on those cams. So you can either line them up straight static, or you can line them up straight at full draw by shimming those cams back and forth. So you're adjusting the way those cams roll over, which in the end scheme of things is manipulating how that knock travels. Once you release the string, you'll have lateral knock travel. And if your lateral knock travel is not directly behind the knock of your arrow, you get these knock right and knock left tears. So that's what the two-track system does and can do. What the tri-track cam system is, the ASIM tri-track cam system, it has a track in the center for your string, and then each cable has a track on the right side for one cable. You have a track on the other side for the other cable. So what that's done now, it's a wider stance, it's more laterally balanced, and you're putting equal loads on each side of that cam, which makes that thing roll over almost dead perfect vertical, which reduces that lateral knock travel to where you don't have these shimming problems. And if you still end up with a little bit of a knock right or a little bit of a knock left tear, no more putting it in the press shimming it. That's where the set technology comes in. You reach up there, use your 5/32 Allen wrench. Oh, I'm still a little knocked right. Give it about a quarter turn, lock it down, voila, done. It's just a more balanced system with this tri-track. Totally different, similar feel. You're going to feel the exact same draw cycles and have that, familiar Elite feel. But this new system is just more balanced. It's just a more tunable system. That's the best way to describe it. It's just a more tunable system.
Yeah, that's amazing, because before, with the previous cam, I'll call it, I mean, that was almost like the greatest thing since sliced bread. It eliminated tons of problems with some of the older style of cams and this and that. So to think that you guys somehow improved on that, it's just it really is mind-blowing.
Yeah, and I get excited talking about the ASIM tri-track cam system, and I don't want to trump everything we've had in the past. Don't get me wrong. I mean, from the tour that I first started shooting to the victories to, the echelons, some of my echelons, they tried my patience trying to get some of those tuned. But the new Ritual series that we had last year and the year before, from the 30 to the 33 to the 35, those bows are fantastic. We've worked out some of those tuning problems with cam spacing, and we're able to make those adjustments before those bows were even put in the box and left the factory. So don't think that you have to just buy a 2020 bow or you're getting a junk Elite. That's not the case. If you like a 33-inch bow or a 30-inch bow or the 35-inch bow, which is ever popular with tons of people, we've got that. It just has the two-track technology, which, again, is fantastic. It's very efficient. It's very effective. It's very accurate. But if you're looking for new bells and whistles and just an exponential amount of adjustability and tunability, that's what we've brought to market in 2020.
Yeah, absolutely. And by all means, you're right on that. I mean, those cams forever, but they'll always be super efficient in everything you just said, and super tunable. And it's one of the reasons why I think, Elite, right off the bat, and like 7 years ago, we talked earlier, Darrin, how well it took off, because everybody was like, man, this is just a whole new realm to being able to, tune a bow in your basement or the garage. And those cams did that. And then they'll always be great for that, no matter what.
100%. Did I lose you?
Yep,
I'm
there
still
we
here,
go.
Darrin.
Sorry, I lost you guys for a minute.
We're back.
If I lost you, just repeat what you said for me real quick, and we'll catch up.
No, I just was agreeing with you 100%, and there was just some dead silence there.
Okay. All right. Then it's no biggie then. So, well, as I guess going forward, there has always been some, other great features about Elite, and I just want to kind of go over real quick. But, from the strings to the warranty of the bow, can we just cover that stuff for everybody that maybe isn't familiar?
Absolutely, yeah. I'll jump onto that.
Yeah, there you go, Chris.
Yeah, I'll jump onto that one just a little bit. All good. The strings on an Elite have been, always are, winner's choice strings. That's a premium grade string. That is, we're not just taking, some off-the-shelf string and throwing it on there. These things are engineered specifically to be working with our cam systems. The engineers take a lot of time really dialing that in, and that's something that we go through a lot of iteration, a lot of testing with, slightly different string lengths and some of the changes there. Sometimes we try the string maker's patience a little bit there when we're asking for lots of revisions. Engineers seem to love to tweak the strings and cables just a little bit, but yeah, they're winner's choice premium bow strings. You're getting that bow set up out of the box with an absolutely fantastic quality string. In terms of the warranty, limited lifetime warranty on the bows to the original owner. So when you buy that thing, you've got confidence that you get that thing all registered up. You can just go and register it over on the website. You're covered for any manufacturer defect for the usable life of that bow. No matter what happens, you're good to go. Obviously, we're not going to cover dry fires or derailments and things like that. But if you're a relatively seasoned bow hunter or a target archer, you're pretty careful about not doing those things anyways. So not a big deal there. And to the best of our knowledge, we are still the only manufacturer in the industry offering what we call the Elite Hunt Guarantee. So if you get out to the field, you're in deer camp, something bad happens to your bow, you nick the string with a broadhead, it doesn't work for you for whatever reason, you call our customer service line, give us the specs on your bow, we're going to get you something out that's going to work for you to finish your hunt. So you've got a guarantee there that when you choose Elite as your primary bow, if something bad happens in deer camp, man, we're bow hunters too. We understand you get a limited amount of time in that field, and we don't want something bad happening to your bow to ruin your season there. So that's the Elite Hunt Guarantee.
Yeah, that's amazing. And that was one of the things I really wanted you to speak on, Christian, and you did. So you're not going to get that anywhere else, any other bow manufacturer, and still to this day, since you guys have done that, it's unheard of. And, man, what just a kind of relief that is knowing that you have that kind of warranty if you're out somewhere. Because I've been in, some remote places and a couple deer hunts. I know you said deer hunts, how remote can it be, but I've been in the middle of Texas Panhandle where you can't see a road for 8 miles, or the middle of Nebraska, the same thing. And, you get in trouble out there and pop a string off, or God forbid, it falls out of a tree stand. That's great confidence to know that the next day or two you could have a bow sent out to you and finish your hunt.
That's right.
Absolutely.
That's right. And that's one of the things for us, Brandon. I think a lot of people overlook this, but, we tend to talk to Darrin a lot about being a target archer. And yeah, Darrin's life and Darrin's made piles of money being a target archer, and being a professional competitor. But at the same time, man, it starts to get to the fall and late summer and early fall, and, if Darrin and I are talking on the phone, man, it's not very long before we're talking about deer hunting. Darrin is absolutely a stone cold hunter as well. And, we take this stuff very, very seriously. This is our passion. This is what we do for fun. We're fortunate enough to work in the industry and in the space. And so we get to talk deer hunting and competitive archery all day long, which is fantastic. We're beyond blessed to be able to do that. But we take this stuff very, very seriously. And so when somebody forks over their hard-earned dollars to pick up an Elite, we want them having confidence and knowing that they're going to be taken care of, because we understand where they're coming from.
Yeah, absolutely. I couldn't agree more. And speaking of deer hunting, I know, Christian, you just shot a great deer in New York, so congrats on that, man. That was awesome. And Darrin, do you have anything planned here? I mean, it's November 1st, so it's about the greatest time of the year, if you ask me.
Yeah, this weekend will kick off my deer hunting. For the past 7 years, I believe, I've traveled to Kansas with a good friend of mine, Levi Morgan. We had a mutual friend in Kansas that we hunted on, but some things came up there, and the hunter was changing how he was doing stuff up, so we had to take this year off from going out there. But with our new bow launch and, trying to work all the contracts and, organize the staff going forward, there's a lot of moving parts, getting shirts, communicating with apparel, travel arrangements for 2020 with hotels, because we take a trailer around to the ASAs, getting, tournament sponsored, organizing the logistics for booths to Las Vegas indoor. There's just a lot of moving parts right now. So until I get 95% of that work done, hunting kind of gets put on the back burner. And the last 7 years, my hunting season has been my 7-day trip to Kansas. But this year, since I'm not going to Kansas, I'll probably start hunting this weekend. I'm planning on it here in Indiana. But unfortunately, my big bucks I had right here at the house, they've disappeared. And I hope it's just that they're doing their phase and running around and looking for those, and they haven't been hit by EHD or killed on the highway or something. But it's I don't have a lot of hope right here close to home, but I've got a couple of farms that have voice produced in the past, and I'm anxious to get this new bow in the tree stand and go out there and recharge my batteries and unwind a little bit from the tree.
Yeah, absolutely. Darrin, are you in southern Indiana a little more?
Yeah, South Central. I live real close to Bloomington, where Indiana University is. I'm about 13 miles from there.
Oh, okay. All right. That's funny. We have a lease right down there, 20 minutes away from Bloomington. And,
oh, wow.
Yep. I was supposed to head down there today, but 2 weeks ago I hunted, 2 Fridays ago, shot a great buck in Indiana, so it used my buck tag up. And sadly on Monday, I have to have surgery on my left arm. I tore my bicep off, which is not good.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so it'll be the first rut I've missed in 25 years, so I'm pretty sad nonetheless. But I killed a great buck in Indiana. Just sad I'm going to miss deer camp down there, and that's a little bit of a bummer. Both my buddies showed up down there today, so good luck to those guys. But we were worried about the EHD down there too, Darrin. But luckily for us, we have a pretty big waterway that goes through, and the way the creek's set up, we don't really get a lot of that black muck or the low bottoms to where, some of the deer have to kind of cross and go through it is what I mean. And that creek really holds the water really well. So knock on wood, as far as we know, that area that our lease is in down there, we haven't found any EHD. So hopefully that's the case, and I hope those guys, kill 2 hammers down there this week.
Yeah, no, the timing is perfect. The weather has changed dramatically. We were warm and dry, and now we've had, rain last Saturday, lots of rain the past couple of days. We actually got quite a few snow flurries yesterday, and I woke up this morning, my outside thermometer said 25 degrees, a little bit of snow still on the ground, heavy frost, everything was frozen. So, man, it's the right time of year, and the weather seems to be cooperating too, so I'm anxious to get outside.
Fantastic. Well, good luck to you guys in the future, and I appreciate you guys' time today, and can't wait to shoot this new bow.
Sounds great, man. Thanks for having us.
Not a problem.
Yeah, we appreciate having you on, Brent.
Yeah, thank you, Christian. And can't wait to talk to you guys again. And as you guys know, you can find this podcast every week on iTunes and the Unfiltered Outdoor app. So thank you guys one more time. Appreciate it.